Hey YouTube, this is JR Powered over here. I just got done with a really good meditation session, and there was a lot of stuff that I was thinking about and contemplating during that session that I want to share with you all, and just see what resonates with you on an individual level. Um, there's a lot of points I want to cover, so I'm gonna go over basically just what comes to mind at any given moment. The first and foremost thing that I'd like to talk about is over the past few weeks or so, I've been learning new breathwork techniques. Nothing too insane, but just understanding the role of breathing and how that can impact our thoughts and emotions in any given situation. And so I'm doing these different techniques today, which there weren't really anything crazy. It's just in, out, even doing like the ow, chanting and all that. And as I'm sitting and I'm meditating, I'm having all these thoughts, all these emotions, all these states of being, coming and going. And I'm wearing the blanket. Yeah, I just have all these states of being coming and going. And more cat here. Um, I realized that breathing and chanting by extension and anything else that you choose to focus on as the basis for your meditation is like having a rock in the ocean, right? Like you have a rock that's jutting out of water, and no matter how stormy or calm the water is, the rock is always there. It's the basis. In this case, I'll just use breathing as an example. My breathing at any given point during meditation, and not even just through meditation, but through life, is that rock. And the thoughts that come and go in the mind, the emotions that come and go in the mind, even the states of being that come from different forms of meditation, mudras, breath work, whatever it may be, they're just the water splashing against this rock. Sometimes it's very gentle, sometimes it's very raging, like it's in the middle of a storm, and sometimes the rock is submerged underwater for a brief moment, right? You have all these thoughts, all these emotions, anxiety, anger may be released, right, from deep trauma, or even joy. It can be literally anything. Thoughts on people you care about, even insights, right? Even meditative insights, like what I'm sharing with you right now. They come and go in the form of thoughts. It's just the ego transforming at any given moment into different states of being. Not saying one is more right or wrong than the other or more natural, right? It's just the water's changing constantly. Um, but the rock is still there because even if you're not meditating, right, you're going about your day and you're feeling different states of emotions, you're having different thought patterns, maybe you're obsessing over how your coworker pissed you off, or you're excited about something you're going to be getting later that day, or enjoying the moment. At the end of that, you're still breathing on a default level. Habitually, you're still breathing on a subconscious level. Your brain is telling your body to breathe, because if you don't breathe, you die. And I'm coming to understand that the state of our breathing at any given moment can help, either it can either pour gasoline onto the fire of what you're feeling, or it can douse it with water, right? You ever notice when you're getting angry, you're anxious, you're having like really shallow breathing, mostly in the chest for a lot of people, right? Well, I've been getting conscious of that lately for myself, and I will just do in for a few seconds, hold for a few more seconds, and then out for even more. I've been hearing online that the more you exhale compared to when you inhale, like, say you inhale 3 seconds, hold for a couple of seconds, and you exhale for, 5 seconds, right? That affects your parasympathetic system for whatever that means, and it causes you to de-stress. And I've been trying that, and for me, that's been helping out a lot. For you, it may be different. That's for you to test out on your own. Um, so, anyways, I'm like having all these states of being coming and going, and all these insights of what I want to share with you right now and just with other people in life. And I'm understanding that the attachment to these insights is part of ego, is part of thought, it's part of what the ego wants to share of itself now that it's transforming into this state for this moment. Um, but even at the end of that, when I'm just focusing on my breathing or the chanting I'm putting out, I'm focusing on what's deeper from the ego, what's beyond the ego. And that doesn't mean I'm pushing it away or discrediting it or saying this is not true or even buying into it either. That's another thing. But it's like, all right, so breathing. Now, while I'm doing that, thoughts are going like back and forth. You're stupid, you're smart, you blah, blah, blah. Oh my God, this is wise. Oh my God, you didn't have to worry about this. Calm, anxiety, whatever, right? It's just coming and going. It's the water splashing against the rock. I'm just kind of letting it do its thing, but I'm really mostly focusing my attention on the breathing. Like, not to the point, again, of pushing away those thoughts or emotions or states of being, but just really focusing on putting the breathing as a habit. Because at the end of the day, that's really what it is. It's an ingrained habit, breathing. That's part of one of the billions of habits that we have our subconscious, put out into our body that we have trained since a young age or for survival mechanisms since birth. Really, breathing is just another one of those. It's a basis, it's the bedrock. I've been coming into understanding lately that when it comes to making changes in our lives or even doing self-care, it's kind of like a video game. A lot of you may play video games, a lot of you may not play video games, but essentially, like, some of the best video games I've ever played are when characters have these really cool powers, right? They could teleport, they could, fight enemies with a certain ability, whatever, right? And a lot of times in those games, those powers will take up magic, right? So you may have a given amount of stamina or magic at any given time, and you can, ration out those abilities, but you have to either recharge them or, use an item to refill them. So those abilities are great, and they can differentiate the character. But then a lot of times those games will also have like equipment or gear or abilities that you can learn over time that are also passive, right? And when I mean passive, I'm like, you equip them once and you really don't think about them at the end of the day. They could be something like your magic recharges on its own, or you're slightly stronger, you know, with this piece of equipment than you would be without it, right? It could be literally anything. It could be bonus effects and it's all that. But once you put it on, you really don't think about it. But if you're really wise with what you put, even if it's 1,000 little things that you put on your character, it can make a massive difference in how that character interacts with the game. It could lead to massive gameplay shifts, different roles for the character, even if they have the same exact abilities. Um, it just makes the character far greater in different areas. Now, when it comes to meditation or even just living life, what I'm doing now for myself is, including breathing, right, as a passive thing. Um, I'm adding other things into the background that require little effort on my end, but they still benefit to my experience in the long term once they all add up and they're consistent and they're used on a regular basis. For example, I'll play meditative music. I've heard Hindu music activates the chakras, so I've been playing that a lot lately. Or I'll play binaural beats when I meditate, or not even when I'm meditating, just throughout the day sometimes, for a little bit, not too much, too much of a good thing. But, that helps because, like, I'll be doing things, but then if I tune into this, you know, music or like light up a candle, these little forms of self-care that require minimal effort but still show me that I can show up for myself, like, it adds up. Now that doesn't mean that you can only do just passive things and not invest in actual effort for things, right? But when it comes to the universe, what I'm learning is that it's always a balance, right? A balance of choosing the path of least resistance in terms of manifestation. I'm not saying like take the easy path and all that, but like if you're trying to take care of yourself, like it's better to do things that are healthy for you, but in the most passive way possible. And that can even go towards things with effort. Like, all right, so say you have to do the dishes, maybe have a whole dish load full, right? That you have to do, and you don't have a dishwasher, right? You have to do it by hand. Well, maybe do 1 spoon, and that's your goal. Just 1 spoon, even if you have the whole tray or whole sink full. Well, you do 1 spoon, and then it's easy since you're there to do another, and then another, and the next thing you know, you get half the stuff done, and you can stop there. You can continue. Um, very minute. Either way, like I'm getting a little off track, but if you can balance out passive, um, passive achievements, passive practices with more focused stuff in the terms of meditation, like say you do yoga as well, that's more focused, at least for me. Because I have to sit there and put forth the effort to say I'm going to do this, and then I do it. And same with meditation. Um, then I'm reaping the rewards on both ends, but it becomes easier because I have not only the abilities coming in, especially through prolonged practice, but I have the passive stuff coming in too, the meditation, the clean space, the music, stones, whatever you choose to have. It's really, different things, even the breathing. Um, and yeah. Oh, another thing too, since we're continuously breathing, I'm understanding now, at least through my own perspective, we're continuously meditating. Even now, I'm still meditating, right? It's just that meditating is just living life as we're doing right now without a second thought, but in a more focused way. All I'm really doing is maybe adopting a few different poses or, hand placements like mudras or whatever, breathing in different ways, but it's essentially doing the same thing, right? I'm living my life. I'm interacting with you, but I'm still using my hands. I'm still sitting down in a different position, doing whatever. I'm still breathing. Um, but when I'm sitting and meditating, doing yoga or whatever, I'm more focused on that. Um, so again, just to recap real fast on the breathing, because I feel like that's the most important aspect of what I'm sharing today. Um, Breathing, mantras, whatever they are, the sounds you focus on, the images you focus on when you meditate. And I'm not talking about just like mental necessarily. It could be that, but it could be like the background too. Like say you're focusing on an object. That's really the rock in the water. It's like if you can train yourself to focus, on that and still acknowledge other stuff, but not like be like, all right, I'm understanding this trauma and it's releasing and all that. I mean, that's great, right? You're releasing emotions, that's great. Or you're experiencing stuff, that's great. Um, but the real meat of the bones, whatever the phrase is, the real lesson, at least in my eyes, is that focus on the bedrock, focus on the continual breathing. You're breathing. Oh, you have a thought come and go. You have an emotion. You have a state of clarity or connectedness, or you open something up. Right, great, and you're breathing and breathe and breathe. So even if you're having like anxious thoughts and you're not at the state of mind or being that you were a second ago or a meditation session ago, maybe you're like all over the place, right? Still focus on the rhythm that you're building with the breath work of that moment, right? For me, I might have said this earlier, but like I do primarily 3 seconds in through the nose, hold for 4 seconds, and then 5 seconds out through the mouth. And when I do that, sometimes I'll focus on my stomach. Um, Sometimes I'll notice like the temperature of the breath. Maybe I'll focus on how uncomfortable it is sometimes too. Um, because, something I'm still training for. It doesn't really matter like what I'm focusing on because I go back to the rhythm of it. I'm literally doing the best I can to focus 3 seconds in the nose, 4 seconds hold, 5 seconds out the mouth, and doing the stomach work and all that. It doesn't have to strictly be that either. Sometimes I'll do 5 seconds out the mouth or seven or whatever. It doesn't matter really. As long as I go back to the rhythm. I'm not criticizing myself. If I do have thoughts of criticism, they're there, but also so is the rhythm. Everything else is there, but so is the rhythm. The thoughts come and go, the emotions come and go, the states of being come and go, but the rhythm through conscious practice changes. I mean, not changes, excuse me. It is consistent. It is the opposite of changing. Maybe what you focus on through the rhythm at any given moment changes, but the rhythm is consistent, right? And that's the real power there. There are 1,000 times today when I was meditating that I wanted to quit. The thoughts of quitting came and went. Right, cool. They're there. So did the desire to quit. The emotions. Fuck it. I don't want to fall into this pattern. Or fuck it, I do want to fall into this pattern. But the rhythm is still there. You know? I don't always do strictly just the pattern I did right now. Different breath works at different times in your life for different people too will bring different states of being, different understandings, all that. It's just understand that, maybe you get one or two really beautiful moments of clarity or states of being from one breathwork practice for, one time. But try not to attach yourself to those states of being because, like I keep saying, they're coming and going. They're not always going to be consistent. If you attach yourself to a state of being, that's really just ego attaching itself to a definition. All the emotions, states of being, everything, the thoughts, feelings, it's just ego. Um, it's ego feeling stuff coming from the guru within you, the light within you, the God within you, universe, whatever, and grasping it in its own way and trying to shape its identity, your identity or whatever you want to call it, so that it can fit this in, right? Either it will outright reject it in the moment, no, that's not how I feel, blah, 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 or it'll accept it and maybe mold it in different ways over time. Which is why I don't think that when you experience anger or sadness or any of the negative or lower emotions, right, that you should necessarily focus strictly on the higher vibration emotions, like joy or gratitude. Like those all have a place, but so do all the other emotions. I think that a lot of gurus, especially the ones you'll find online, they're very much, you can feel their vibrations of connectedness, and they'll say you have to be where you want to be to attract what you want. If you want to attract all this positive stuff in life, you have to be strictly in a positive state of mind all the time. And like, I understand where they're coming from in my own way. If you're only consuming negative stuff and that's all you consume, if you have a self-defeating story going on, like, nothing ever goes right for me, why does nothing ever go right for me, and then something happens and you feed that further into your story, or you hang out with people, or you consume media that just really reiterates that's all you're going to get. I used to drive Uber, for example, right? Now I'm in my personal vehicle and I'm having people coming, and going 30, 40 times a day, whatever. And, that leads to a lot of wear and tear on my car, especially with the car doors. And, I would put up signs, respectfully, please be gentle with my car doors. Sometimes people were purposely rough, other times they weren't, sometimes they were gentle, sometimes they weren't. And it just led to a lot of wear and tear, and I was getting upset because I'd make $8 off a ride or so, and I'd be spending theoretically $500 or so just to get a door repaired. So I'd be angry, and I'd focus on that. Oh, what can I do? Blah blah blah, and I'd focus and focus and focus. And it got to the point where the last day I ever drove for Uber, I was just opening and closing the car door for people all day that day and saying it was in the name of good service. My door's not working, and people were okay with it. But the last customer I ever had, we had a bit of an altercation, and she took her anger out. Her anger was legitimate, but the way she expressed it was not. She took her anger out at my car door by slamming it harder than the Hulk. Bam! Right? And I was pissed off in that moment, and she actually broke my car door. And I quit the job because Uber wouldn't let me drive with a broken door. It ended up working out in the end. I got the door fixed partially, so it could open or close. It's just, looser now, which sucks. But the point is, I was focusing so much on something I didn't want to happen that it did happen. And I had a lot of legitimate reasons to not want it to happen. And I was in a place where it's difficult for me to get out of that place of being. It's not like saying I needed to dismiss those concerns because they were legitimate. But I was also putting too much energy and expecting, I was too cagey. I was too cagey with the potential customers coming in because I'm like, I don't know when it's going to happen again or again or again. That it just attracted that. Now I'm understanding that emotions like anger or depression or sadness are like the foods we eat. They're not necessarily junk food, but we can consume it like junk food. Depression really is just, in my eyes, the current ego not being happy with the state of being for how things are with it, right? They're not happy with the current habits or, lifestyle or people that they're hanging out with, or you're hanging out with, it's different things. And it can be very difficult, but it can be very healthy because you're like, I don't like this. When you get the moment of clarity, you feel that, you can make that change. All these emotions are like fruits and vegetables, Anger's carrots, depression's onion, joy's kale, whatever. In moderation and in a balanced way, if we can feed on these, we can incorporate them in healthy ways in our life. And that's going to be different for each person at each given moment. But if all you eat is carrots, you're going to have vitamin poisoning for that vitamin set. If all you eat is oranges, you're going to have vitamin C poisoning, and then you're going to be deficient in other areas. You may even get sick and tired of it, right? So, just be mindful of what you're choosing to consume. And that really goes into different areas of life too. If you're hanging out with people that will reiterate a worldview for you that was only ever going to piss you off or be negative, like, yeah, in the moment, like, you can be pissed off about the issues that a certain group of people may face, and that's totally okay. But if that's all you choose to consume, that's all you're going to base your personality around, and then you're going to be stuck in that loop, and that's all you're going to attract. But if you can be like, you know what, I need to take a break and explore other areas of my life, I'm not going to shut out the anger entirely necessarily, but I can also add greater depth to my character, to the ego. I can, breathe and just appreciate, a new hobby, or find a new group of people that can, have different interests. It's different things. Then you gain depth. You can have a greater balance in your diet, and you can recognize greater imbalances in your life. Maybe I don't like watching the news all the time because it gets me upset. I don't like being ignorant, so maybe I'll watch it once or twice. But if that's too much too, then I'll just participate in my community in a healthier way that provides me greater joy instead of fear or anger or this or that. A a lot of times we're in these patterns of hanging out with people or watching what we watch because it's like we're addicted to what we choose to consume or feel. And these are outlets that allow us greater feedback. So if I'm naturally angry with my state of life and being, I'm going to gravitate towards things that will make me feel that anger even more because it's familiar. It's like, oh, I like popcorn, right? Well, I eat popcorn all day long. I'm sick and tired of buttered popcorn, maybe, or I eat a lot of that. So maybe I'll have caramelized popcorn, right? Later on today. I'm still eating popcorn. My diet's not that varied. It's just different flavors of it. Um, yeah, so just be mindful of that and understand that at any given moment, uh, you can focus on your breathing. If you're anxious at any given moment, that's totally okay. Don't push that away if you don't feel like it. It may feel uncomfortable, but that's really just your ego expressing. It's the ego expressing a certain state of being um, that can lead to a catalyst of change in your current circumstances. If you're angry at something, right, or someone, like maybe that person's directly involved in that emotion, maybe they're not. Maybe they remind you of a pattern, like on a subconscious level, a pattern from your childhood or your parentage, whatever. It doesn't mean that you're allowed to, express that in any way you see fit because, you're still beholden to the consequences of your actions. It's still on you to be emotionally responsible and mature in a healthy way. But it doesn't mean that you have to dismiss or push away your anger. A lot of times in healthy relationships, you're going to feel emotions like a child because that child is the part of you that's acting up. And it's on you to regulate on your own time. But it's also on you and your partner to have a healthy relationship where you co-regulate each other, where you communicate, but you also can regulate your own selves too. At least in my eyes. So yeah, hold on, I'm losing my train of thought. All right, so yeah, like I was saying, just feel what you feel and on your own time investigate it. I'm understanding, at least through my practices right now at this given moment, it may change tomorrow, that if I just focus on the bedrock of my meditation, which is really just the breathing or the chanting, I don't really have to put an intention, because then that's the ego trying to control the outcome. If I just focus on that, everything else comes, but I'm not really going to attach myself anymore to what comes and goes or the states of beings or even total detachment. I'm just going to focus on the rhythm of everything. Just the rhythm. Breathe in. Anxiety, anxious, happy, oh my God, I'm thinking of this person. Wow, he pissed me off, or I love this person. Peace, peace, peace. I feel the rhythm in my body. I love you, I hate you, I love you, I hate you. The rhythm's constant, man. Everything else is coming and going. Doesn't mean it's not important. Doesn't mean it's, unimportant either. You could have great insights coming and going. Just try to focus on the rhythm above all else, because those insights will stay with you. I'm sharing a lot with you today. And thank you for listening for this long video that I've been making right now. The point, one of the things I'd like to share with you to cap this all off is that at the end of the day, you're going to get a million different answers from a million different people at a million different times in their life. I could find something totally life-changing on this, or that could add greater depth or change it around for me tomorrow, and I wouldn't even know. You can find so many gurus online that preach a similar message or the same message or different ones. But what really is the most important for you, at least in my eyes, is what your own inner guru right here is going to share with you at any given moment, right? because what I can share with you may resonate with you today or tomorrow or never at all. Um, just, at most allow yourself to introduce it into your life, and when you meditate and all that, just breathe and focus on the rhythm, and everything else that comes is natural. So if you feel angry or you feel confused, it's just the stormy waters, man, hitting that rock. You know, if you find that this doesn't work for you right now, well, understand that, it's like you're exercising, you're building a muscle. It may be difficult to do for a moment, or maybe you could do it for 10 minutes, but 30 minutes is a challenge, at any given day. Just go with what resonates with you and flows in your life. You're your own guru, first and foremost. I'm not holier than you or less holier than you. And same with anyone else, even Jesus, Buddha, whoever. I wish you the best of luck in your life. And thank you for listening to this video. Namaste.